My name is Devin, and I'm 20 years old right now. I'm gonna be 21, coming up in a few months now. I just wanted to kind of talk for a second about some experiences from my life that may be able to give someone else a small amount of perspective while attempting to navigate their own. My whole life, I really was interested in things that were stereotypically boyish and girlish. I didn't really fit in with people who were little boys or people who were little girls when I was a kid. I had friends that were both, but all of them were very confused by what I was. In preschool, I remember there was a kid that asked the teacher, "Is Devin a boy or a girl?" And the teacher said, "Oh, Devin's a girl because she has pierced ears." Okay. So I knew a lot of men that had pierced ears. So as a kid, I was like, that's what makes me a girl. That's what makes me someone who's going to grow up and be a woman. Is that I wanted to have pierced ears. My parents let me. It's kind of weird. When I was in third grade, I had a crush on a girl in my class. And this was the first time where I basically knew for sure that I liked people that were girls and I liked people that were boys. And I ended up actually telling some of my family about it around that time when I was in third grade. And then part of my family, I didn't end up coming out to them until I was in sixth grade. And when I had my first girlfriend, even though I never even kissed her, and I just held hands and walked around the school, and I still was treated like shit for that, even. But basically, I had this counselor at my school in middle school, and I explained how I felt, uncomfortable with my body and how I felt like I didn't fit in with like girls and shit. And then her response was to ask me like, "Do you think that you're trans?" And I was like, no. I mean, I definitely wish that I could just snap my fingers and be someone who is born male right now, but I don't think that makes me trans." And then I liked wearing makeup every once in a while. I was part of like the emo kids and goth kids and shit. Not that I was part of any group of them, but I just grew up with that subculture being, you know, at the forefront of media because I was an early 2000s kid. Emo shit. But basically I said like, no, I can't be trans because sometimes I want to wear makeup or I want to wear dresses or whatever. And then she just kept saying like, well, maybe you're gender fluid, maybe you're blah blah. And eventually I went to the school and I said, you know what, maybe I guess the word that would describe me the best is gender fluid or non-binary, but I am not really looking to do anything about it, and I am already treated like shit enough at this school. I would rather them just not know anything about what I feel inside. And that's how I felt for a minute. I just told a couple people very close to me that I felt like I fluctuated between feeling dysphoric or kind of okay with myself as far as gender and things I wanted to wear and the ways that I felt I wanted to be seen by other people seemed to kind of fluctuate. Then, all of the Trump election era, like, wokeness battles came around, and I just saw the LGBT community not only being made a mockery of, but making a mockery out of their damn selves. And I didn't really want people to know that I was a part of the trans community. But even so, I couldn't be walking around and have everyone thinking that I was a dyke still and that it was as simple as that. And I ended up actually, like, denouncing my label as non-binary, gender fluid, because I was exhausted hearing about all of these people who have no dysphoria at all, no struggle at all with their gender, no confusion. Like, I've been treated like I was weird since I was fucking born, just because I didn't align exactly with either side of that. But basically I just started saying that I was not even, like a trans male or a trans guy. I just started saying I'm male, I'm a guy. When I started going to high school, I came out as trans in like 7th grade at my middle school or something. No one called me what I wanted to go by. It was whatever. Then they all one by one came out like the year after me. Entire friend groups of like 20 people who had all went out of their way not to call me what I had asked for a couple years. It's fine. Then went into high school. I went to a very liberal high school. It was a arts school. If I make any more videos, you'll definitely hear a talk about this school because it was ridiculous in many ways. But there were just a ton of other trans kids there. Every class I went in, there would be at least 3 other trans kids. And I didn't want any of them to know that about me. Even though I wasn't on testosterone yet, I started that school, and the only people who kind of knew that I was assigned female at birth were some select members of the staff that happened to have to see that information from time to time on my documents. But every person I introduced myself to, I said, hi, I'm blah blah blah, the name I was going by right then. My real name is Devin. I just told them I was a male. I only exclusively used the male restroom. If I was menstruating, I hid that shit well. I jokingly talked about, Donald Trump and stuff, and they all fucking hated me because of that, even though I'm not someone who would ever vote for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or any person that is like that, especially if it's not a local election and something that I can actually know I'm doing something about. It's all crooked. It's all going to be a lie. I'm not going to vote for Bernie Sanders just because you have a t-shirt of him riding a dinosaur or a cat or something. That's ridiculous. That's the kind of time this was. At school of mine, they had a program where a counselor from in town would come in and you could sign up for therapy on your own, because in the state that I was living in, you had some rights as an individual at, I believe, 11 or 12, like reproductive rights over yourself, which can be good and bad, right, for people. And then at, I believe, 14, you have total rights over yourself medically in my old state. 14 years old, you're allowed to do anything medically you want. Your parents do not need to be there. You will sign all your own documents and it's legal. That's different from the state my partner grew up in, where up until 18, your parent needs to sign, even if you just want like a flu shot. So, very different. When I was able to, I got into therapy, and they actually had me walk out of classes that I was in to meet with this therapist once a week. When I was already very, very behind in school, they did not propose like an alternative to this or after school or go on this day. They just said, yeah, it's totally fine to go and talk to this person for a full hour during an important class while you were already failing. Good job. Very helpful for 14-year-old me. And then, as soon as I could, I had her write me a letter diagnosing me with gender dysphoria. I went to my local clinic. I had my grandmother with me, who was mostly there to try to collect information about long-term effects and things like that, but they were very vague with us. Since I was a minor, I have learned of many, many, many more debilitating effects that are possible if you don't handle things a certain way when you're on testosterone, and even anyway, it's possible for there to be debilitating effects from it. But they did not really tell me any of that directly. They talked about how it might be more likely I could like lose my hair, or because they said because males have a higher rate of like heart attacks and stuff, you might have a higher rate of heart attacks. They didn't tell me like if you don't remove your uterus when you're older, you will get cysts and cancer and could die. Like, I don't know if anyone has listened to Buck Angel talk about his experiences going through that, but they don't tell trans men everything when they are signing up for that. They want you to just be blindly excited about it without thinking about anything realistic that could come of it. But anyway, I started my testosterone. None of my parents wanted me to be on it. None of them wanted to help me with it. They did not sign any consent forms. I went to my local clinic that does it. It was actually just right down the road from my parents' house. My first day there, let me start. They gave me my first dose in my leg. This was before it was more common to do it in like the stomach or the arm. This was when you were only really seeing people prescribe this as an intramuscular shot into your like leg or buttock. But they gave me my first dose then, and then my next time going there, they told me that my insurance actually had not approved it. But even though my insurance had not approved it, they were willing to let me continue every single week for free as long as I walked into the clinic, and they would do it for me or hand me the needle and let me do it. My insurance was not approving it. The reason for this is because the public health insurance that's for low-income families in the state where I was living had previously had pretty open rules about this. Like, you could just get a letter from someone that is technically like a counselor or whatever, and they could recommend you start treatment, and you just could start treatment and it would be paid for. But I was in the first round of people where this medical insurance was requiring more documentation basically, and I needed to schedule an appointment for a different actual like psychiatrist, and not just a counselor that would come to my school that worked at one of the local therapy offices, but like a psychiatrist. And I needed to do an intake appointment with them first to just talk to them about my life and myself and my fucking problems or whatever. And then after that, I would be scheduled to another appointment that would be even farther out, months out from that one, where I would do like a 3-hour appointment from 9 a.m. to 12, I think it was, and I had to do assessments, like mental health assessments on paper, on a tablet. I had to do like a weird IQ test thing with him where I was, like following patterns and stuff and defining words, which I don't think is really a factor and if someone deserves to transition anyway, like if you can define a word or not. It's pretty weird. Past that, because I have a lot of mental health issues, but if you have a lot of mental health issues, you know exactly what to say on those. It's very easy to get past those. Any kid like me would be able to get past any assessment to be allowed to get the hormones they think they need. I was on it for months and months, and then finally that appointment rolled around where it was going to be official, where I would have it paid for through my insurance, even though they had just been giving it to me for months. I already passed more as a male when I had, shorter hair, when I dressed more masculine, and even before I was on T, when I was a minor, most people clocked me as like an awkward, chubby, emo boy. One day, I had a very interesting experience. It was actually when I was 16, and a friend of mine who I had been dating on and off in a very terrible relationship wanted me to try LSD with them. They had already tried LSD several times, and they would just eat it and walk around the downtown area of the city that we lived in at the time with their friends when they were houseless and stuff like that. And they'd done it a few times. They were just a few months younger than me. But, I had never done it yet. I had only smoked weed, drank a tiny bit at that point in my life for some reason. But, they said they knew someone that had it, and I went downtown with them, figuring it was someone they actually knew and trusted and whatever, because I wouldn't personally usually, take a substance from someone that I didn't thoroughly know. And then, ended up they didn't know anyone that had it right then, and they just were asking everyone, like, do you know who has this? Blah, blah, blah. And then found this guy, like, probably mid-20s, early 30s, possibly, I don't know, with a fucking, like, furry tail on and shit. And we had been told he had some acid, and we asked him, and he said it was only $5 a tab, and that they were, quote, double dipped, which sometimes things are legitimately, like more powerful than normal. But a lot of the time in a city that's dirty as fuck, like the one I was living in, if someone says it's double dipped and you don't know them and you're never going to see them again, it's just as likely that it's some fucking lab chemical that is going to melt your fucking mind, actually, not in the way you want. But, I believe that's probably what happened to me. I don't really know. It did not really feel like what I would think acid feels like, looking back, But I was a kid. And they made me take it, like, in the alley, and then get on the bus to ride to my other parents' house, which was, like, an hour and a half bus ride after we took it and waited for half an hour for the bus. And then we walked through the middle of my town, my other town where I didn't go to school, where my other parent lived, where they sometimes would come to visit with me, my friend, and my campus monitor from my school that was like 40 minutes away by car was standing outside of a bar, and my friend just goes up to the chick that's standing next to my campus monitor from school and asks her for a cigarette and starts weirdly, like, flirting with her, and I'm just like, we need to go, because, we were like 15 and 16, and they hadn't been at my school for a little bit of time, so they didn't realize it was the campus monitor now, and I was just like, oh no. But basically, I just asked them, like, begged them, like, please, can we stop walk? Like, please, can we not stop walking? I want to get back to my destination, my house, and I don't want to be out here anymore. I'm freaked out. And then they just keep stopping and talking to every random person, every random guy, trying to get cigarettes from them and shit. So I was just fed up. I already felt like the rain was like falling down and kind of melting into my skin and stuff by then. And then I finally got them to go back to the house with me, and I had a horrible, horrible night. Just the worst experience ever. But when I was coming down from it more, I decided that I wanted to get some of the sweat off my body and try to calm down a little bit. Um, Basically, I went to go take a shower and I was still tripping a little bit. And obviously, no one can say like if it was just my internal voice or if it was some outside thing. I'm not gonna try to tell you what to believe in, and I don't even know what I believe in myself necessarily. But I just heard this voice in my head, and it was more of like a female internal voice when I feel like for years of my life at that point I had been just kind of casting out and denying and shutting off all parts of me that were textured in a more feminine manner. My internal voice in my head had become only males. My life was ran with the intention of people seeing me as a young man. And I just hear this voice as my eyes go down. I hear, "There's nothing wrong with you. There's something wrong with this world to make you feel like what you naturally are is bad." It said, "Your body is exactly how it's supposed to be. Your mind is exactly how it is supposed to be. You are supposed to be someone who can see the perspective of a male and a female person, like many people who also walk the earth with the same job. It doesn't mean that you need to physically change your body unless you are having just absolutely debilitating dysphoria and you are an adult, I feel. If you are a minor, I know it hurts every day to feel like you are seeing something that you're not, but I hope that this world will change for you so that you will have the right to live exactly as you are and be authentic, exactly how you want to talk, act, walk, dress, exactly whoever you want to like, whatever job you want to have, whatever role you want to have in homesteading, whatever. Just know that it's the world that is making you feel like you can't do certain things because of the way you were born. It's not real. It's fake. It doesn't mean that you need to change the way that you look physically. It doesn't mean that you need to put chemicals in your body more than we all already have to do by living here. It doesn't mean that. You are exactly who you are supposed to be. All you can do is work with it, not against it. And if you are someone who has struggled with these kinds of things for years and you're an adult now, and you feel like you want to do the surgeries and you want to do hormones and stuff, power to you. My partner is on hormones. I am completely supportive of people doing that who need to. I'm not supportive of minors being told it's the only way to be okay, and the only way to survive, the only way to not kill themselves. It's sick. No one needs to change just for society to see them a certain way. You are capable of doing anything you want to. It doesn't matter how you were born.